Hi, Deacon. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, yes, I am.
How are you feeling?
Had some trouble.
Oh, I'm sorry. How are you feeling now?
I'm good. I'm halfway through the recovery period from hernia surgery.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the last meeting I was actually in the emergency room.
You didn't bring your computer in the emergency room?
Oh man, I wouldn't have been good.
But you're always good, Deacon.
Oh no, oh no.
Well, I'm glad that you're on your way to recovery. We missed you.
Well, yeah, yeah. I guess Michael tried to call me to get a quorum. So,
Well, I'm glad you didn't pick up. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, everyone. Hey everyone.
Hi,
Hello.
Tom, Keith, Nathan,
Hi, Nate.
Michael,
Can
Good
you
evening,
hear me?
everyone.
Good evening.
and Peter.
Yep.
Michael, you're already here.
I am. I left a little early and wasn't behind any slow cars.
Nice. How was the town hall there?
To be expected. There was good representation from Wendell. So that was sort of good. And Jane Urban was there, so at least one Shutesbury person besides me. So I left before the Q&A.
Yeah, yeah.
But Joe asked where you were, Nathan.
Uh, you know, uh, I hate the disappointment, I really do, but sometimes it just comes with the territory.
Yep.
Well, it is 7:01. It does look like we have a quorum. If I
Recording in progress.
okay.
Oh, we do.
Okay. Thanks for bearing with me, everyone. Well, my computer caught up with my connection here. All right. Um, this is a open session meeting of the Shutesbury Planning Board. The meeting is being recorded. And I see we have Deacon Bonner, Jeff Weston, Ashley Pycroft, Michael Teixeira, and Steve Bressler. So that would be full house. We have both associate members. All right, very good. We will let's get moving on our agenda. First item on the agenda is public comment. Would anyone like to make public comment? Crickets. Very well. Um, Next on the agenda, we have land owner education and guidance, if any. Now, I don't know if anyone is here for that. Jeff Weston had mentioned that somebody may be interested in that. I don't know if they're on the call or going to come on the call in the next minute or so, Jeff.
I don't know. I did email him and I told him that 7:05 would be the time to show up. He wanted some directions regarding building a garage. Is it okay? I don't even know what to suggest. But
Well, if they're not here, then I would say that maybe just direct them to the email. If they sign on in a couple minutes, we can talk to them.
great. Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, if nothing else is going on right now, why don't we move on to our next agenda item, which is the Geese A&R. And it looks like I misspelled your name on the agenda.
Yeah, I
So,
noticed there was an A that didn't belong in there. I just wasn't sure how that got there, but
oh,
yes,
is it
simply it's
misspelled on the Zoom?
GEES.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the agenda is okay. It's the Zoom that we need to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
I fixed it.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, let's see. I have it. Has anyone had a chance to take a peek at the at what we've received from Mr. Gies here?
I looked at it and I want to first thank Carrie for sending the attachment earlier today. So thank you for that. But I think it'd be helpful just to get to walk through so we can piece it together. I feel like I have a sense of it, but just to get a sense of what's being intended.
Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen. All right. Um,
I can share the digital version if it's better than the picture I took.
um, Yeah, I don't know if this, I thought this was the digital version, but I guess it is an image there.
I
Yeah,
have
uh,
forwarded as a digital file to Carrie. She had requested that, so that's a PDF of the drawing.
here. Okay. So, just gonna zoom in a little bit. Hmm, all right. So here we are. Do you want to go ahead, I guess, and just speak to it a little bit, Peter? Or
Sure, I can certainly do that. Yeah, so I have there are three lots that are being affected here. The premise is to change the lot lines to accommodate what I have done in the past. And it's just a question of cleaning up something that I wanted to do for years. So, okay, now let's do it. Let's not wait till I'm dead. And it's a bit of a moving lot lines around. So there is no loss or gain of area or frontage. All those two items uh, remain the same. But what I've done is I've shifted property from one lot to another and basically made it all balance out per number of square feet so it would match the original. And so I've kind of jogged a bunch of lot lines around for stuff that I did before. And I thought, you know what, I really should make this right so the lot lines match what I built. And that's what I'm trying to do today to get this thing finally straightened out. And so there's no change in frontage. There's no change in egress. This does not affect the egress to the lot, and it doesn't change the area frontage. So I think it's fairly straightforward. I've done this before with other lots, numerous lots. Uh,
yeah, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward that this is not showing a subdivision.
oh yeah, no, this is already pre-existing houses that are there.
So there's houses on these lots already.
Yeah, there are houses on these lots, correct.
Yeah. All right. Does anyone have any questions?
I do, if you don't mind.
Please.
So we've got parcel A, parcel B, and parcel C, I guess are the three that we're looking at. Is that right, Peter?
I'm just looking, Michael, to see if it identifies them as A, B, and C. But I'm going to say from left to right. So starting with the one that's, well, I look in the middle, lot 8. If you look in the middle of the map, you'll see lot 8, lot 9, lot 10. And those are respectively M78 is lot 8, M79 is lot 9, and the remainder is M39, which is the large parcel of 41.4296 plus the other acreage that I added about a year, 2 years ago, I think it was. I added acreage to that. You might recall that, Michael. You were present at the meeting.
Yeah.
Took land from a lot that's further to the south of that, and I added. There you go, right there. That's where I
Got
had,
it.
and we literally just joined it to the other acreage to make it closer to 50 acres. So from 41 to 59 point something.
Okay. I was looking in the wrong place, so I'm glad you clarified that. Great. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. So the parcels A, B, C, and D are the small pieces that are moving between um lot 8 and lot 9. Right. Um.
If you see the lots and you'll see the lines parallel to others that have the dashes, they're very light.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
it
if you
has
see
this little
parcel
symbol
B
right here.
where it points down, you can see where we moved, I don't know how many feet it is, 12.91 feet over
Yeah.
to the east to make up for what we added to the north of parcel C. So that was that swap. And then the larger chunk that was added on the far east end, which projects out like a peninsula, that was then swapped with the land closer to Wendell Road towards the front, parallel to Highland Drive.
Mm. And this has to do with the residential features that exist on these lots as they've been built.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone have any further questions? Okay. I would entertain a motion to for the board to endorse this plan.
I would move to approve the A&R proposed by Peter Gies for, I'm just trying to figure out what the best way to designate this is.
31
Peter,
hours.
would you,
I call it a land swap between
I'm
those.
just thinking about, I'm thinking about parcels
You
or
use this
some
right here,
identified.
Michael? See that
Where?
on the screen? Right
Oh,
here?
yeah, great. Okay, yeah. I'll move to approve the A&R related to 31 Highland Drive. Leave it at that.
All right. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, bro. Steve. Any further discussion? None. All right. Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see everyone. I'm gonna call the roll. Bressler,
Aye.
Raymond.
I'll pass since I wasn't present during the discussion.
Okay. Welcome, by the way. Thank you. Dick Hara,
Aye.
Pycroft,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Bonner,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Peter, that kind of wraps up that piece. Have Has payment been squared away on this?
Well, it wasn't because we didn't know what I didn't know what the fee was. So I know
Yeah.
it's made to the town of Shutesbury, but I didn't know what the fee is for this.
It'll be $75. There's no new buildable lots being created, so it's
Mhm.
just that flat fee of
Okay. So
75.
I'll
I
make
thought,
that check out to the town of Shutesbury for $75 and I'll drop it off and I'll put it in your box in the town hall in an envelope. Is
And
that good, or
now,
you want me to hand it right to Carrie?
well, you can put it in the box. You can hand it to Carrie. I will be able to make it down to town hall on Thursday to sign copies of these
Okay.
for you. So I don't know how badly you need these, but I can sign them
I mean,
Thursday
it's
and
not a
then
rush. So, whenever it's convenient and you get to it, and
I'll
then
get to it Thursday.
I'll take it up to Franklin County Registry of Deeds and have it recorded.
Beautiful. All right, yeah, I'll just give
Yeah.
you drop you a line on Thursday after I get
Mhm.
down there, and then they'll be ready for you to pick up.
Okay, that would be great.
Um, very good. Carrie, do you have?
yeah, is it 75 or is it 70?
I think she
uh,
said he said 75, I believe.
Yeah, but we should make sure
Yeah.
we're not
Okay.
I'll
confused.
double check,
Um,
but I think it's 70.
70?
anyone know?
I
I
thought that
thought it
was
was
what
70.
We can easily look, can't we?
Yeah, we can.
I'm pretty sure it is 75.
It
Okay.
sounds normal. 70 doesn't sound right for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's
I think 75 sounds more logical.
excellent. Um, all right. Well, Peter, that
Okay, well,
concludes.
thank you very much. I appreciate your time and consideration getting
It's
this
our
done.
pleasure.
Okay.
I'll be in touch. Get everything endorsed for you, and you'll be all set to go up to Greenfield.
Hmm. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you,
Sure,
folks.
sure thing. Have a good night.
Okay.
All right. That was okay. Whiteman special permit inquiry. Um, Now, you may have seen an email from uh, Mark Whiteman come over during the interim inquiry regarding his special permit on Leverett Road. Let's see. Now, I'm gonna just take a quick peek at my email. He says, I've chosen not to construct a home for myself on parcel H-151, which received an open space special permit in ZBA driveway special permit. One of the criteria of the open space permit was to supply the board with verification of a building permit. I presume this is to show the special permits is actively being used within 2 years of being received. Obviously, if I'm not constructing a home, but rather selling the parcel, I need to accommodate this requirement in another way. So I've requested and received a curb cut from the DPW and Conservation Commission. I also hired a logger who widened the drive path to accommodate a 10-foot wide driveway, and he raised the canopy to a height of 15 through 20 feet plus or minus, far exceeding the minimum height requirement by the permit. I'm sorry, the minimum height required by the permit. I have attached a copy of the curb cut approval and a copy of the paid bill from my logger. Please let me know how the board, I'm sorry, please let me know the board is in agreement that these steps show the permits are being utilized and I've met the requirements set forth above. Best wishes, Mark Whiteman. After taking a look at this email, I went and took a look at the special permit. And rather than saying that a building permit must be provided, what the permit does say is that the applicant shall within 2 years of issuance submit to the planning board a conservation restriction for the portion of the parcel that is going into conservation restriction to meet the requirements of open space design. Further, I noticed that there's another condition in here. It says no building permits or curb cut permit for construction of a dwelling or other structures within the building lot or preparation or construction of the driveway shall be applied for or issued until the applicant has recorded a conservation restriction. Yeah. Right. So basically, I kind of just went back to him and said, it looks like you're, looking at the conservation restriction condition there. And I told him I was going to put it on the agenda and invited him to come. I guess he declined to come, but I was wondering if anyone thought we had an issue with the fact that he's pulled a curb cut and did some work on it prior to submitting a conservation restriction to us.
It seems like based on what you just read that yes, he did it backwards, correct?
That seems to be the case, right?
Yeah.
And we know for sure, excuse me, Michael, we know for sure that he did not submit a CR.
We have not received a CR from him. And
Who receives that? Is it you and Carrie would see it? If it was
yeah, I
submitted?
mean the board would receive it. The condition clearly states
If it was a paper, like a mailed copy of a paper CR agreement, I would have scanned it and sent it if I received it. I haven't received one. And if he emailed it to me or the board, then he would have received it as well.
well, right here, he says in his email from May 20th, I've held off on going forward with putting a conservation nonprofit in place because I want the buyer to choose whomever they think will be a good fit.
Uh, Robert here.
Yes.
What difference does it make if he went backwards, if in fact he has to submit a conservation restriction within the designated period of time?
Well, I would just say that, that one of the conditions of the permit states it makes a difference that the condition is that no building permits or curb cut permits for construction within the building lot or preparation or construction of the driveway shall be applied for or issued until the applicant has recorded a conservation restriction for the construction lot.
I
So
think, Robert,
I think, yeah, I
you
was
go.
going to say that it seems that, that the intent of the condition was to ensure that the conservation restriction is secured prior to anything moving forward with the building, right? With construction. Honest. So Michael, if you have anything to add, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to revisit the premise, so this was open space design. He wasn't allowed to build it by right because he didn't have enough frontage. So the whole premise behind open space design is to be preserving open space, and therefore that's the conservation restriction component of it. So it would seem that the order of doing things is actually important. So before you start changing the landscape, doing curb cuts, preparing driveways, et cetera, you want to ensure for the town that there's a conservation restriction. Because what it sounds like he's saying is that he's sort of doing the preparation. When he first came to us, he said, well, I might live there. And then he reversed himself and said, well, I probably won't live there. And now it seems like what he's doing is he's trying to prepare the curb cut and the driveway for a future buyer. But second to the whole agenda would be the conservation restrictions. So I think it'd be important to sort of just to remind him that, in fact, you can't move forward with this stuff until you do the preserving of open space, which is where he came in. I think it's important that it's an open space design special permit.
What's the original date? What's the original date of the permit?
Vote was on April 10th, 2023. It's signed by the town clerk on 4/11. Yeah. And then of course we did do the amendment.
Well, what would be the status of the spec? I mean, presumably, can he just, I mean, if he sells the property without the conservation restriction being put in place, what, um, does the buyer simply take over the special permit process?
I mean, I think that's a good question. I would imagine that if he was able to sell the property, that if whoever bought the property pursued a conservation restriction and submitted it to us, that we would have no problem moving forward with
And the clock would start from the date of their purchase or from the date of the issuance of our permit.
I would say from the issuance of the permit.
Right.
And we might need to clarify whether if at all the amendment comes into play with that timing. But yeah, Michael.
Yeah, I think I can imagine a scenario where there's a buyer who, for whatever reason, is not aware that there's supposed to be a CR put on it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you have a person who says, I bought this land in good faith. I didn't know that it have a,
Right.
conservation restriction. They come to the planning board and say, can we get an exemption because we didn't know and now we bought in Shutesbury. We want to be here. We care about the town, blah, blah, blah. And so then we get into a place where people are building without a conservation restriction, or it gets messy really quickly. And so it seems like this is the place to intervene and say to him, who is the landowner currently and is the one who did the special permit, to say, before you proceed any further, the terms of the special permit say you have to have a CR, because then any subsequent buyer, it'll be in place and we avoid any messiness.
No, I agree, Michael. And the condition is a condition. If he couldn't or didn't think it was wise to realize that, to implement that condition, he should have come back to the planning board and said, hey, would it be okay if, and then we would planning board would determine whether that was de minimis or not. And he didn't do that. So I do agree with Michael. Short story.
I love when you agree with me, Steve.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I do. I haven't heard whether or not the lot has sold yet. Does anyone know if it's still on the market? And does anyone have a suggestion as to how we should proceed?
I think you need to go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
No, you go first.
I was just going to say probably what Michael was going to say. I think, Nathan, he needs to have an email or letter sent. I don't know whether it has to be registered or how or the appropriate mechanism, but he needs to be made aware that he's fallen down on the condition, or he needs to fulfill that condition first before any land sale, before any sale.
I was going to say that I think I would go with registered mail just because it's the letter. I think the other thing, not to be too harsh with it, but I think, if he doesn't follow through on the condition, it voids the special permit. So, it's not like it's a willy-nilly kind of thing.
Right.
One thing I would note is that we cannot count on him being truthful to a future buyer.
Agreed.
I was going to say, this may be protecting him from getting into some kind of legal entanglements if things fall through with a buyer and they're not clear on the special permit.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if a title search would, I wonder whether a title search would get to this issue. I don't know.
By a future buyer, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, nobody buys property without a title search, but I don't know if they would get onto this or not.
I can't imagine they wouldn't. I did find this in the Registry of Deeds, the decision. I would my suggestion would be that certainly we notify the applicant, but I would also write to FERCog and inform them that they need to verify whether or not there's a conservation restriction in place before the issue of building permit on this lot. And I would also notify the highway department that they issued a curb cut on a property that has a special permit out on it, and in doing so, they well, it's I don't know if it's the responsibility of the highway department to do that review, but it's
well, it'd be courteous to let them know that they shouldn't have done this.
Right, yeah, that it's a potential issue.
Right. And they could, I don't know if they can retract a curb cut permit, but if notified, it would actually make it somewhat easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Could a conservation commission issue without specifically designating the area, but designating that a conservation commission shall be issued on that area that is not built upon? I mean, would the seller, would Whiteman have some flexibility in getting a conservation commission, but having some wiggle room as to where a house is put?
Yeah, I mean, there's part of that's dictated by I think the plans that we saw as under the hearings, but and I would not say that he needs to get a conservation restriction before he sells the property. I don't think the board has the authority to enforce that, but we do have the authority to enforce the special permit, which states that you can't build anything until you get that conservation restriction in place. Whether or not I mean, we could say that this has been, the condition has been violated because he went for a curb cut before he had the conservation restriction in.
Do we know if he actually did it or if he just got the permit?
Well, he got the permit and then he paid a logger to go in and do some trimming. So I mean, I think,
I mean, I guess my only response to why I think it's important to send the letter and to be somewhat clear with him is we spent the vast majority of time discussing the placement of the driveway, the width of the driveway in relation to the tree, in relation to the stone wall. It's not like this was not central to the special permit. So
yeah, I actually meant to try and go down there and take a peek before the meeting. I just didn't get to it. But I mean, I would be satisfied to inform the necessary parties, Mark, the highway department, and FERCog, just to try and make sure that they're not going to issue a building permit. And I mean, that's out there with like Deacon said, with a title search.
well, a title search is only as good as the lawyer identifying it after the search for the buyer.
Yeah, which is an open question to me.
Yeah. And I mean, I think doing it to the highway department is good only because Steve's in his first year as,
Oh yeah, I mean, why not let him know?
Yeah.
And then yeah, FERCog just to so should we try and like get some language going, or would the board be satisfied that I can kind of write something up to this effect and maybe pass it by somebody to just kind of do a quick sanity check on it for grammar and whatnot, and go ahead and send these off by registered mail to Mark, and then copy the FERCog and or the at least the building inspector and the highway department.
So moved.
I would also suggest as a courtesy, including a copy of the conditions. Just to make sure everyone gets it. The highway department gets it, FERCog gets it, and Mark gets it.
That sounds good. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. And I will include conditions. I'm gonna make some notes for myself on this.
One question, were Mark to go ahead and delineate where the conservation easement would be, I would guess that would require his hiring a surveyor.
The conservation area is already established. It's a question of getting someone to to monitor a written conservation restriction. But the area is already determined.
Right. He needs an entity. It could be the town, it could be a nonprofit that
Yeah.
would agree to hold the conservation restriction on the property.
Okay, so that's wouldn't seem like a huge step, would it?
Well,
It can be difficult.
yeah, yeah.
It's hard because it's so small that getting an entity who wants to manage that, and it's a bit of a hassle.
Thus the need to have that in place before anybody starts breaking ground.
And I suppose I should also copy the Conservation Commission since they took place in the curb cut permit.
Well, and they've paid attention to the conservation area as the process went along. I mean, they were involved to the extent they needed to be.
Right. Yeah, they may have you probably have wetlands delineated on that property at some point, right?
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I can confirm that he did. He just recently got his A&R, or not his A&R, sorry, too many letters. ANRAD.
Hmm.
Not renewed, that's not the right word. Extended for another 3 years.
Uh-huh.
Gary, it's great that you're a bridge to the Concom. Very helpful.
Mhm.
I try my best.
Mm. Yeah, okay. Well, so basically, yeah, letter to Mark, copying the three other people, noting that the in obtaining the curb cut permit, he's fallen down on the condition requiring a conservation restriction be put in place before any of this happens. And that the purpose of this is to inform you of that, and that any further the planning board will take action if there's any further anything further that violates the conditions of the permit. And and instruct FERCog or building inspector not to issue the to verify that there's a conservation restriction in place to prior to issuing a building permit. So, anything else? Okay.
Just the vote part.
Yeah, I'll call the roll. Um, Bressler,
Aye.
Raymond,
Aye.
Pycroft,
Aye.
DeCara,
Aye.
Weston, Jeff Weston.
I don't think you can hear us.
Deacon Bonner?
Aye.
Jeff Weston, one more time. Are you?
Aye. I think my computer froze. Sorry. Aye.
All right, excellent. No worries. And I'm an aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, thanks everyone. That's one more item down. Ooh, what did I do? Yeah, all right. So next up is minutes, right?
No, we got the all boards conversation.
All boards. Okay. Yep, all boards. Okay. First of all, I guess, is anyone here uh planning to attend tomorrow?
I volunteered before and I can go if I don't know. I think we need at least one.
That would be great if you could go, Jeff. Is there anyone else that wants to go? Keith and Tom are both welcome to go. Carrie.
Oh, I was raising my hand. I was probably gonna go. I know
Okay.
it's kind of late. I was just gonna stay all day. I feel like it's kind of important that I go just because it's regarding like meetings and moving forward and hybrid. Kind of want to learn how hybrid go. I don't know if they're doing kind of like a learning session on how to set up hybrid while there,
Well,
but
I doubt that, but yeah, I would say if you want to go, Carrie, I'm sure you're welcome to, but I don't know if yeah, if you want to go, by all means, go ahead.
okay. I was gonna ask Becky more about it, exactly what's gonna be discussed to see if
Yeah, yeah, get yeah, I would just say, if you talk to Becky and find that it's not the best use of your time to go, then skip it, if it makes more sense.
okay. Yeah, it's the only thing that stops me is the hour-long drive, but I'll be there anyway, so it's just me staying longer and driving home later. So I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
likely I will.
I would just say that if it's, yeah, do whatever you think is best in that regard. Um, the way I understand it, the all board meeting is looking to discuss, how meetings should take place moving forward. And Michael has some thoughts on it. So why don't you go ahead, Michael?
So, yeah, and I want to thank everyone who's going. So, normally I would go. I'm actually doing something fun tomorrow night. So, a rare, a rare Tuesday activity. So I sent a letter to the select board. I sent it to Nathan, but the work I've been doing for the last 4 years is in the area of what's called digital equity. It's sort of, been growing since the pandemic, and it's sort of focused on how people access the internet and what's equitable access. So my thinking, what I shared with Nathan and the select board, is that on the one hand, having online meetings is really great because it increases civic participation. Like, we've had more people attend than, it used to be that no one would be in the basement of the town hall when we were meeting, so we've got more people coming. The flip side, however, is that for people who can't get on the internet for a variety of reasons. So, I talked to Gail Huntress, who runs our fiber network, and there's 97% of the households in town have a subscription to Shutesbury Net, which is great, but there's 3% who don't. And then there's folks who don't feel comfortable with that technology, whether they're older, they're disabled, they're just, in terms of their work life, they don't feel comfortable. And so if it's only online, the counter is that they can't participate because they can't use the technology. So where I think I've come down thinking about this a bunch is that hybrid really is the most equitable way to go. So that people who have transportation issues or, are balancing life stuff and they would just want to zoom in because we all find that convenient, that's great. But having it so someone can show up. The other thing I would say is, with the pandemic came all these loosening of requirements. So pre-pandemic, we were allowed to, I don't even think we were calling it hybrid. We were allowed to have members Zoom in remotely if there was a quorum physically in place, and I think the chair had to be in place. And those requirements got loosened. My sense is that we don't, at this point, we don't need a quorum to be physically in place. We just need to have at least one person there who's available. And that I think what's important is whoever, at least one member of a board or committee needs to be there with the training and the expectation that they can facilitate the communication if someone shows up. So using the TV, using the cameras, whatever. And so in that regard, you know, if Carrie were in town hall, for example, she could help, but it should be one of us is either way, you know, because I can imagine some people say, well, I'll show up town hall with my laptop, you know, but a laptop is not really going to do it unless the person's sitting next to you. And it's, so I think there's, the attendance expectation is low, but the ability to facilitate someone using the hybrid setup is, it should be in place. So that's sort of my current thinking.
Jeff?
Can I go?
Yeah, please
Oh,
actually.
I'm sorry, Jeff. I didn't see that your hand was up. I wonder if it would, just to throw that out there, if it might make sense for us to all have that training and maybe take turns. I don't know. I'm wondering all of your thoughts on if you would go or if you would stay home. I think that I would stay home if it's a possibility. But I have experience running hybrid meetings, you know, so to speak, from when I taught a hybrid classroom. So just curious what your thoughts are. Maybe after like a year from now, I would go in person. But I wonder about us maybe taking turns doing it, or at least having more than one of us who would know how to administer a hybrid meeting so that if one of us can't be there, or if there's the regular person who can't be there, someone can be a backup.
Jeff?
I think I'm going to suggest when I go tomorrow that the town purchase a wide angle lens, which is, I think, around $100 that they could put on a designated computer, and it theoretically could allow a meeting to occur with the wide angle lens at the town hall, because otherwise we would individually have to bring in a laptop, and I don't have access to a laptop right now that I could bring in. So that's what I would suggest. That's what I plan on suggesting. I think hybrid is better than, thanks.
Carrie?
I believe right now, for hybrid meetings, don't they have a camera that like tracks who's speaking? And so the camera moves to who's speaking at the table?
That's correct.
Yeah.
They call it the OWL.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Okay.
Right. So as it stands now, we do have the ability to go in and have uh, an in-person meeting or a hybrid meeting. And I think we've kind of gone under the practice of, if we haven't really gone in person obviously since the pandemic started. We've had maybe one meeting I posted as hybrid, and I went in. That was a joint meeting with the select board, so that was a little bit of a different situation there. Tom, would you like to speak?
Thanks. Yeah, as long as it's an okay time.
It is.
I just wanted to add on to what people have already been saying. I think what's going to come up for the town is a double-pronged challenge of the right technology and the right space acoustically. And they're talking a lot about that on the select board already in terms of improving the cameras and the speakers and the microphones. And the other one is the human resource element. And my suggestion is going to be maybe we can start thinking, Carrie, I'd be curious to know your position on this, because I was wondering if there might just be a town staff person or some sort of role crafted for 1 to 2 to 3 people, depending on a few factors, who aren't actually members of boards, but get paid to do hybrid in-person staffing and alleviate then any board member to have to do it. It would cost money, but that person could, facilitate for the people who do show up physically in tandem, while the meeting goes on, and or those people, because probably more than one person would need to be able to do that. But that's probably going to be the crux of my suggestion. Really good equipment, and maybe having to hire a person whose role includes doing that.
I agree. Sorry. That would be good, and I think definitely specifically for my job position would be good to include. It's just the only issue with me personally in the role is that because I live an hour away, being there for a meeting at like 7, and then typically, for example, our meetings don't really end until like 9:30, and then I have to drive home. I'd be getting home at like 10:30. So me personally would be favorable, but in the future, if someone hopefully be in my spot and that lives closer and or in town, then I could definitely see that could be included theoretically.
Yeah. I was just trying to find a way where all the members, the voting members and everyone could have the freedom and not have to do one or the other. But anyhow, thanks, everyone.
Of course. Ashley?
Thanks. I don't know how specific the conversation is going to get tomorrow night, and thank you all, those of you who are going. But Jeff or Keith or Tom, another thought is if meetings do go hybrid, which sounds like they probably will, maybe one person on the board is sort of in charge of keeping the room for the people at home, and another person could be in charge of keeping the room for the people in person, so to speak. So like I found when I was doing it that sometimes just because you're pulled in two different directions, sometimes I wouldn't pay as much attention to those who are on the screen as I would to those who are in front of me. And I could see that being a problem in the meeting. So maybe boards could have a designated person during a hybrid meeting who could just be watching for the people who are raising their hands on Zoom. And then I'm wondering, is there a projector at town hall that can
No.
project? Okay. Is
There's a
that
large TV.
a large screen?
Yeah, there's a large screen TV that is used.
Okay. I found it really useful I don't even remember how it worked, but I was able to project the people who were at home to a screen behind me so that all of us in the room could see them, which just made it feel more like they were there. So that's another possibility too.
Okay.
That's all.
Michael?
Yeah, I was just going to chime in and say I like Tom's idea. If I mean, it's a modest cost, but they're just basically, like if any of us had to take minutes for these meetings, it's sort of distracting to participate and do that. And it's a similar kind of thing where if you're trying to problem solve or engage people, I do think maybe this is a committee by committee decision, but I think having at least one committee member in the room is, it's sort of welcoming. It sort of formalizes the fact that, you're not just showing up to an empty basement room in town hall, but there's actually someone from the committee who's there. And that seems like an easy enough lift. But I think this is a good conversation. I think it's going in a good way to share with the town.
Steve?
So I remember a time, and I think at least Robert and Michael will remember a time where we used to meet all in person. And I don't think Ashley's suggestion about rotating a planning board member to be at the meeting in town hall is unreasonable, because think about it, it's only one out of every 6 or 7 meetings that would happen. That's not a heavy lift, guys. I mean, and if we know the schedule ahead of time and when our turn is coming, we can plan around it. And I do think it's nice to have at least one planning board member there in person. It doesn't mean another planning board couldn't join that. It's not ruling out anybody else, but seems like it's not asking a lot from the planning board. That's all.
My thoughts are as follows. One one consideration and concern I have is or I should say my preference is to have the board on a remote meeting like this, or to have the board together in a room to the greatest extent possible. And the reason I say that is because of what Ashley brought up, right? If six of us are in a room and just one or maybe two of us are you know dialed in and on the screen, it's easy for the people in the room to kind of just have their meeting, and for the person who is attending the meeting remotely to be somewhat marginalized. And you can, with practice, you can improve that experience, of course. But um, I would estimate that it's very difficult to overcome completely. Um, so that's one consideration that I have. The second I would say is, um, I'm not convinced of the need to always have somebody in town hall to have an in-person aspect of every single one of our meetings. If the data shows that 3% of homes in Shutesbury don't have internet, I mean, I don't know if what that number is. If any of those homes are vacant, and maybe what percentage of those homes includes residents that have any interest in attending public meetings. If we were to, receive the request for it, then I would say, I would want to do everything to ensure that that would be, that need would be met. But without any kind of, I don't know if there's been any direct appeal, at least none that I've seen since getting on the board for it. Um, Even if you don't have internet access, you can still call into a Zoom meeting. So that's not full accessibility, but you're able to be on the call. You're able to participate and submit a public comment and hear what's going on. You would be missing some of the screen share stuff, but then again, with the traditional meetings, usually everyone may get a packet of printed papers, and I'm not sure if there was a practice previously with this board of making sure you had extra copies lying around for the public if they showed up, but I've been to plenty of meetings where that was not the case. Right. So I'm not sure if the juice is worth the squeeze in terms of what we're achieving on this thing. Okay. So I'm really, trying to put the brakes on this thing in that regard. Now, again, if I start hearing noise from people about issues with being able to participate in the board's business, then I will promptly change my tune. But until then, I'm not convinced that we need to take these steps per se. However, I would like to maybe our next meeting have it in town hall.
I'm okay with that.
Um, is,
I'm
is,
not
is there
sure.
anyone that can't make it to town hall for a meeting next month? Ashley, I know you've got a lot going on. I'm not sure when the sports end or whatnot.
Never. When he's 20, I don't know. I was actually, I think I might not be here. I think I might be camping our next meeting.
Okay.
But
So
I'm willing to come to town hall for a meeting. Absolutely. I just I don't think I could, if it's possible for me to not do it every time, I'm not going to do it every time. I just can't. I gotta just be a mom while I still can for a few more years.
I mean, I get that. I get that.
I'm not sure why you're asking us to come to a meeting at town hall.
Well, just so we can be in each other's presence.
I I I I recognize I recognize that when my photo's not on, you don't see me, and I appreciate putting it on so you can be in my presence. But I feel more on everybody's presence. Looking at everybody right now, I can see your expressions. I can tell what each of you. So I'm not. I probably wouldn't stay on the board certainly another round if we were all meeting at the town hall. This is a really wonderful convenience, and and that's where I'm at.
Would you come to maybe one or two a year, Robert, at town hall?
I'll have to like clarity of why you're asking that. I sure have a party, but I for me at this time in my life, this is ideal.
Understood. That's understood. And I I do take that into account. I wouldn't, you know, at this point pursue, going to 100%, in, remote in person. I do I don't know. I like to be in a room with people. I like, I do a lot of meetings in my professional life with work, right? And some of them are, we all get together in a room. Some of them it's we're just doing it just like this. Sometimes we may be in the office, but it's still, doing it like this, right? But sometimes it is just nice, I think, to get in a room with people. I don't know. I just I feel like I want to try it. I want to see how a meeting goes, and maybe we feel there's some benefit into it. Maybe we say, why are we even doing that? You can, um, if you're remote, you can, just kind of put a document up there and make edits on the fly, and everyone can see it, and they're not, writing scratches on a piece of paper and trying to pass it around or something. I don't know. I mean, mostly I would just I like the idea of, you know, at least once in a while getting together in a room. But I certainly do very much appreciate the convenience of being able to just hop online and take care of business that way as well. So I wouldn't want to put anyone out by it. Um, but
One thing I'd say is that I've not actually met in person some members of the board. I think that's true for other people too.
It
Never actually met.
is true.
Some of us don't really exist.
all
Well,
right.
I would just say real quickly that from my work experience, there's a qualitative difference when you get people in a room, and especially when it comes to problem solving, than it is on Zoom. It's possible on Zoom, and we do it all the time. And I don't think it's unreasonable once or twice a year for us to meet as in person as a board. It's kind of a healthy thing, I think.
Yeah. Keith.
I was going to echo what everybody else said, that uh, I guess I'm kind of a Luddite in that I like to meet in person. And one of the reasons I retired early was because I was stuck at my dining room table on Zoom calls all day. And to me, that was no way to go through a work life. And I checked out. So I think, yeah, once or twice a year, especially when there's new members. Again, I've met up, I think about half of you I've met in person, mostly pretty briefly. So yeah, I think what Steve said, being in a room, there is a real difference in dynamic and getting to know people and just feeling comfortable as a team, I guess. So,
Michael.
Yeah, I think I'm flexible all the way around. Um, I do agree that it's a qualitative difference in person. I'm pretty flexible. I think the thing I would just point out is that tomorrow with all boards, I'm guessing the select board will figure out, if there's a stance that they want to suggest for committees, in town, but I don't think that'll preclude us from, probably like if they say we prefer hybrid and we all decide we want to meet once or twice a year in person, I don't think there's anything getting in the way. So I think there's probably another round of discussion of like we as the planning board, what we would like to do and how we'd like to handle it. That's following on from the select board conversation and if they actually come up with a decision.
Yeah, it's not clear to me what the all boards meeting, is gonna mean. Everyone comes and says one thing or the other. Like, is there gonna be like they're gonna enact a policy that, says, all right, you're gonna do in-person hybrid meetings from now on, all boards. Can they do that? Um, I suppose how could they do that with a general ordinance, right? They have to go to town meeting.
No, I mean, there's select board policies. It's just it's at select board level, but it pertains to everybody. So it doesn't even have to get to like, a general bylaw or anything. Um, so there's some of those. They tend to get lost over time, but the select board could say that for the town. Um, and especially, I mean, it definitely pertains to every committee that's appointed by the select board, which does not include us.
Right.
But any appointees would have to abide by it.
Yeah. Yeah. Ashley?
Yeah. Two things. I guess like Michael and Deacon and maybe Robert, I don't know. There used to be all board meetings. It seemed like so are decisions made or is it more just a discussion? Both, maybe?
Well, so when I was on the select board, we had them pretty annually. Attendance is mixed. You never get representation from all the committees. Sometimes it's to solicit input, other times it's to sort of transmit information out. So like when open meeting law got updated, it was important. And so the town clerk had a speaking bit and then we sort of talked it over. So it's an opportunity to sort of collect information. I mean, in times where there was nothing big happening, it was just a report out, so that
Yeah.
people would know because there's so little coordination among committees that it also is an opportunity to do that. So depending on the year and the context, it takes on different flavors.
Okay. And then the other thing is moving forward, I don't know, if I was a betting woman, I'd say hybrid is gonna happen. Just for equal access for all parties, right? Regardless of what the boards want for the public to be able to attend these meetings virtually if they wish, I can't imagine that's going to go away. So I would say just consider being prepared for that, all of us. If we do have a big meeting where we have dozens or 100 people attending, some virtually, some in person, whatever, we're going to need to plan for that. And those might be the good meetings for us to either all be in the same place or to really have a plan for how to manage the situation. That's all.
Yeah. I think the hybrid, so coming off of the pandemic, the hybrid meeting requirement to me was initially put in place because at the time there was still restrictions on how many people could be in town hall. I think at some point those restrictions were lifted.
Well,
Um,
yeah, but
but
even
but
just
it was not kind of the practice of when you have an in-person meeting, doing it hybrid seemed to kind of persist naturally at that point.
yeah,
Which I think is basically, yeah, you're right. If it's an in-person meeting, it'll be, ideally hybrid to allow for that, remote access of the public. But I would be surprised if the town attempts to impose a policy that would put people in a, uh, an in-person hybrid meeting, rather than a fully, require an in-person element to meetings instead of allowing for fully remote and
Or
or
maybe just allowing for hybrid to happen, or saying you can't restrict it. Like I can't imagine they'd say the meetings have to be fully in person and there's no hybrid element.
no, I think you're right. The hybrid
That's what
element's
I'm
going to be,
saying.
yeah. I don't know if there are
Yeah.
any boards out there as of now that meet in person without having it be hybrid. I think
Yeah.
everything is, um, whether or not it's a true enforceable policy or not, I think it just kind of like fell into place that, if you're having an in-person meeting, it's going to be hybrid. And yeah. Anyway, Tom, you got something you want to?
Thank you. Yeah, it ties into the equal access, but it's actually a phrase I learned in a teaching course called Universal Design, which came from the architecture field. But it's about designing any sort of system that people use to make it universally accessible and to make inclusion the primary principle. Um, and sometimes you do have to sacrifice or compromise elements that we are used to as people who are able, um, not always taking into account people who are not as able as we are, even if it seems simple, just that the quality is different when we meet in person. That won't be true for the quadriplegic person. And so universal design tries to take into account these people that otherwise we would have to make special accommodations for, because that's also awkward. And so the accommodations are preempted by things like hybrid meetings. And they eliminate the need for those accommodations in the future. And they never have to make even one person feel as though they don't have access. And it isn't always comfortable, surprisingly, for a lot of people who are used to having access, when their eyes are opened to the fact that their access is now this way because it's actually the route of access that has the most universal approach to it. So I just want to offer that as some food for thought about where some of the discussion has gone.
Okay. So at this point, do we want to try and attempt to come up with some sort of concise written statement over what we've discussed the last 20 minutes, or should we just tell Jeff to do his best? Jeff, Tom, and Keith, to summarize our our positions here. Well, Tom has a lot of notes. That's good. Okay.
I trust that.
I didn't see what you wrote, Tom.
You guys can sit next
If
to
you
each
want me to
other.
read it aloud, I can, but it's very
Oh,
basic.
yeah. Is this a meeting in person or is it remote?
Tomorrow is in person,
Oh,
interestingly,
yeah. So you guys can
and
sit next
only
to
in
each
person.
other. It's only in person.
Yeah.
Really?
I trust the three of them to convey the complexity of this discussion.
Hold
I
on.
sort of assume it's just going to be mirrored with by other people as well. So, in order to move around with the rest of the agenda, I'm fine with not trying to struggle for a summary.
Yeah, no,
Me too.
I agree, because I kind of let this get away from us a little bit.
Well, I think I've only met two of you. I think I've only met Michael and Nathan. So I've had positive experiences with both of you, and I trust that I would feel the same about meeting everyone else.
Yeah. So, you know, I would like to schedule the next meeting is an in-person hybrid, and Robert, we would be pleased if you join us, but if you decline to join us and want to stay home, it will be a hybrid meeting, and nobody will think the worst. And I think that I think we'll do that and reserve trying to do in-person meetings for maybe something that might require a little bit of problem solving, or something that carries a little bit of weight to it going forward. So we'll say that this one is kind of a one-off post-pandemic, the board has, people on the board haven't even met each other in person, kind of like get together one time. And from then on out, we'll reserve it to something where, maybe in person, if there's some kind of problem where we really feel like we need some, get in a room and hammer some things out kind of situation. That's what I'm going to take away from that part of the conversation. Does that sound acceptable, Robert?
Sure.
I appreciate your flexibility with it. Now, all right.
Just throwing out there, if it is July 8th, I won't be there.
That's right. Yeah.
Sorry. I will.
Actually, does the campground you're going to have Wi-Fi?
It's a good question. I don't think so,
You
but
don't
if
have to
it
answer
did,
the
I could
question,
zoom
actually.
in,
I'm
but
kidding. I'm kidding, really.
no, I
How
know.
about if we come camping with you?
Yeah, you can come camping. We'll have a camping meeting. That sounds great. Narragansett.
Okay. Um, all right. We have hmm, yeah. Okay. Let's I'm trying to think of whether or not we should, instead of doing an in-person meeting in July, wait till August. I don't know if that makes a difference to you, Ashley.
Um,
If you want to be there, we could do
I
it.
mean, I would love to come.
All right. Does anyone can everyone make August?
That
Is
would be
everyone
the
going to be here?
12th. Maybe could we have the conversation via email? I mean, I could pull out my book, but I don't know if we want to do that right now.
Yeah, we can talk over email on it. That's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay. Um, all right. Yeah, minutes. We have two sets of minutes out there. We have 11/13 and 11/13/23 and 12/11/23. Um, so I'll do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for November 13th, 2023?
So moved.
There, second.
Second.
Thank you. Has anybody, Carrie, has anyone gotten to you with any edits on these minutes?
No.
Okay. Um, I did have a couple quick edits on these. I'm just opening them up now. Thought I had them open already, but not. Hmm. All right. I'm just going to share my screen. Here, okay. Yeah. So I just noticed this little bit right here. Can everyone see this? I zoom in a little bit. So this was we were talking about a bylaw discussion, tiny houses. You've got a comment here. I'm not sure how to address this comment. Carrie says numbers needed, want to ensure the understanding between the three different documents. So I think one I forwarded an email to you, Carrie, that had the documents, the original email from Michael with those documents. I would suggest that we add those documents to the documents used section in here.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that email. Those notes are usually just like for whoever's reading them and like for future edits. Like those are things that like I would specifically need help on, or like kind of like the way am I formatting it? Does that make sense? I guess the first comment I made in regards to that.
Yeah. And I mean, I see your thing on phrasing here. I don't have an answer for that. I'm prepared to let it go in there. I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at this right here. And then just right here, quick, I just changed some words around here. It's kind of like, take care as if the PB decided to support tiny homes as primary residence, then it would require a deeper discussion because creating zoning for primary residence, tiny homes would, it just kind of, so it's like, yeah, it's a tiny homes as primary, residence, then it would require deeper discussion, change it from resident to residence. Does that seem like a reasonable correction? Yeah, good with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just send that to you.
Okay.
So I'll call the roll then, unless anyone else has anything further. All right. Bonner?
No.
No?
No, no, I don't have anything to correct.
Oh, okay. No, but I'm gonna call the roll now. So do you vote in the affirmative or
Aye, yes.
okay. Weston?
Aye.
DeCara?
Aye.
Pycroft?
Aye.
Wrestler?
Aye.
Raymond?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. So I will send those to Carrie so she can incorporate those.
To approve the minutes of December 11th, 2023.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Sorry, can I make a small comment? I'm just noticing that there's a typo on the date. It says February 13th of 2023. It should be December, right? I'm pretty sure that's what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
I think that is the one we're staring at here is February, because the one that's December, there was no public comment, at least the one I'm looking at.
Yeah, you know what? I might have just had the wrong thing up.
I just re-downloaded it from Carrie, this prior email. Let's see.
It was December 11th, 12/11.
Yeah, I just had the wrong document up, so that was my bad. Yeah, and I just had So expectation setting for the chair. Said Murphy sent emails to the PB to direct them to daycare for questions or concerns regarding that matter. So I think, yeah, I don't know if I was talking about the PB or the SB, to be honest. I know that there was something to the select board at some point, but I might have sent an email to the planning board as well. So I don't know. Does anyone remember? I guess it's more or less de minimis. So, Carrie?
You could put SB/PB to cover all bases if you
Yeah,
wanted.
why not? Okay, yeah, I don't think I had anything else on this one. Did anyone else have anything else on here? No? All right, well, we'll just make that one little minor change then. And I'll call the roll. Pycroft,
Sorry. Aye.
Pressler,
Aye.
Raymond,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
DeCara,
Aye.
Bonner,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you for everyone being so patient with me.
Oh, yeah. I know how what a challenge it can be. Okay. Associate member appointments for fiscal year 2025.
You jumped a few.
Did we drop what did we drop?
Oh, let me see. Hold on, maybe I'm wrong. Sorry.
I'm gonna
Oh,
stop.
Wheelock report.
Yeah, the WeWalk report and state permitting.
Oh, we dropped some agenda items. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. Um, yeah. All right, we should go back to those, but I think want to talk about associate members next. Although I can't say I did that intentionally, but I do want to check it off here because it is getting late, and this is an important item. So I've been in touch uh, with our town administrator, and the select board will be making appointments. And let's see. Well, there's going to be a select board meeting coming up. Let's see. I think it's Tuesday. It's going to be Monday, the 17th. Normally it would have been a Tuesday. It's going to be Monday, the 17th. So if we can make a quorum, and if we decide we want to keep our associate members into the next year, then we need to figure out if we can make it to that meeting. So I guess to start off, would I hear any motions, probably separately to, we'll start with Keith. Do I hear a motion to reappoint Keith Hasty as associate member?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
Appreciate his thoughtful participation thus far.
Thank you for that, Michael.
I appreciate you guys giving me support.
We're lucky to have you.
Tell that to my kids.
You give me their phone numbers.
All right. I'll call the roll. Bressler,
Aye.
Raymond,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
DeKira,
Aye.
Bycroft,
Aye.
Bonner,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. All right. Do I hear a motion to reappoint Tom Seifert as associate member of the planning board?
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
Any discussion?
I also appreciate his thoughtful participation. It's been helpful.
Here.
Here, here. Okay. Bressler,
Aye.
Raymond,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
DeKira,
Aye.
Pycroft,
Aye.
Bonner,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, both those carry unanimously. So now,
Thank you.
yes, thank you. Thank you both for your volunteerism, for your thoughtfulness and all this stuff we deal with. It is very much appreciated. Is there anyone that would be unable to make it to a meeting on Monday for select board?
I'll be in Ann Arbor on Monday.
What's
I
that,
have
Jeff?
I have a meeting of the Board of Directors at Sirius on Monday.
Okay,
What's quorum? How many do we need?
4. And Jeff, you said you were not able to make it?
It's doubtful. I'll be in Ann Arbor with my grandchild. It's doubtful I'll be able to make it on Monday. I'll be in. I just won't be available.
Okay.
I'm 90% sure I'll be there.
This is this Monday?
Yeah, I was trying to look. I have an email from I thought I had an email.
What time is the meeting on Monday, Nathan?
Oh. The meeting I think would start at 5:30, but our slot would be at 6:15 p.m.
Okay, I probably could make that because my other meeting's not till later.
I will not
Okay.
be able to make that meeting.
Okay, so we're looking, Deacon, you are
I
available?
should be good.
All right, so we have, if Michael's 90% and Robert is you'll be able to make it because it's before your other meeting?
It's on Zoom. It's on Zoom, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
And then
I can make it. I have grades due the next day, so I might not be conscious, but I'll do my best. I should be able. I don't think I have anything. I should be able to make it.
okay. And it should be pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I think, all right, I'll tell Becky to keep us on the agenda for that. And I'll send a reminder to everyone. I'll get something posted for us, and we'll do that. That's very good. Thank you, everyone. We can move on. All right, so review Wheelock report. I'm inclined to say that we might want to table this until the next meeting, if unless that, I know there was some stuff going back and forth with a site visit that Ashley has been trying to line up, but she just followed up with them. As of now, we have not heard anything. I mean, I would just ask if anyone has anything from the report that they feel like they really would like to address with the board right now.
I didn't see the report. I assume it was sent to us and I just missed it.
Okay.
The only thing I will say, I'm sorry, good job.
Is that correct? Okay. Do you know when it was sent, Michael? How long ago?
Ashley sent it. I just had it. What day is
Maybe
this?
in
Oh, Nathan
April?
sent it. Nathan resent it on, what day is this? May 13th.
May
It's
13th. Thank you.
Michael, you posted it on the website. They're all on the website now
Oh yeah,
too.
thank you for that. Yes, correct.
Thank you.
That's because of you, Keith.
All right.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say in brief, Nathan, looking at it's so it's not, it doesn't really provide any progress information. It's sort of the same response to the conditions. So I think having a conversation about what we actually want to get out of it, like um, there are things that they should be reporting on every year. But I think we also want to know the condition of what's going on there. It's a little bit more substantive than the same answering of questions that they answer every year. And comparing the two, there are some of them are identical answers. So I think we're seeking more meaningful communication.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess in the interim, we'll see if anything shakes out with Ashley's efforts on the site visit, and I just and we'll kind of go from there, and I'll try and get it on a little bit earlier in the agenda. Uh, Now I know that over the when we met last month, we had a lively discussion about the state permitting. And the board authorized Michael to draft up a letter to be sent along on behalf of the planning board. And Michael did so. So is there anything, I put it on here kind of just like as a, in case, but I don't know if there's actually anything we need to, that needs to be discussed at the moment, but Michael.
Right. So I want to appreciate Steve sent me a couple of comments. Tom did a pretty extensive review and sent me edits late last week, and he and I talked about those. And then I know Jeff sent me something. I think it was yesterday. I can't quite remember. Wanting to notate the Quabbin. What I had suggested. I was fine with Tom's version. It clarified and it didn't change the intent very much, but I think it made the communication a little bit more crisper, being that he's an editor and I am not. So I'm not quite sure. I think what I had suggested, and I didn't see it, Tom. So I don't know. Did you share your edited version with everybody in advance, or have they not? So I think I would say just going forward, that's a good thing. So everyone could have read it and had a response. I don't think we should be editing now because everyone's sort of tired. So I'd leave it to the group. I guess I'll just give you a very short summary of where things are at, like a 2-minute summary, and then we can decide what we want to do. So the House bill is in play, and it's seemingly going to be getting revised given feedback. I was at Joe Comerford's town meeting earlier tonight, and I talked to her chief of staff, and he said they haven't seen the Senate version. They're waiting for the Senate version to come out. So, a week or two, the Senate version will come out, and then they've got to fight between themselves. I'm sort of maybe hopeful that there's a little bit of improvement that the House bill will be, but I think putting our 2 cents in is probably worthwhile. So I think it's still worth sending a letter from the planning board because it actually has weight. I know today Wendell submitted 500 signatures from the residents to Joe Comerford about their battery project. So it's all of a piece. So I think there's 2 ways to go. Everyone's seen the version I sent. And if there's no problem with that, we can do that. I think the alternative would be if everyone is comfortable with it. I've seen Tom's version, which is just a tweak of mine, clarifying it. And it's a little awkward to say approve that one without seeing it. But that's another alternative. So I don't know if people have a preference, but I do think if we can get something out the door, it would probably be helpful just to go on record.
Which one do you feel more comfortable with?
I think, going with Tom's is good with me. I mean, I actually this weekend didn't do a comparison, but in reading Tom's, it felt like it was true to the intent of what we were discussing. So I'm okay with that, but I don't want to put people in an awkward position.
Mhm.
I feel comfortable with Tom's. That you seem like you have some editing talent, Tom, for sure. So, and I glanced at your letter. It seems great. It's my 2 cents.
Mhm. You don't want to include anything about the person. It makes it a little bit real to the people in Boston who I don't think have a good understanding. What we do here influences what happens in the Quabbin. So my preference would be to put something about the Quabbin. We're one of the 8 towns that border the Quabbin, um, and we have the ability right now to protect the Quabbin. And if we don't have any ability whatsoever, then the Quabbin isn't protected. My preference would be to include something about that.
Yeah, Jeff, I didn't mean to exclude that. I was just figuring what's the primary vehicle, and then we could stick a sentence in whichever one that we approved.
Mhm.
Am I mistaken? I thought the Quabbin watershed is protected.
Um,
That was my understanding.
Not if we have a battery fire and it all leaks into the Quabbin.
That all leaks into the Quabbin? You mean into the watershed?
Right.
Yeah.
So it is not protected. And so my argument would be to just remind people in Boston that if they remove the ability of us to protect Shutesbury, it actually removes the ability to protect the Quabbin as well. And I think it would be beneficial for us for the legislators to be reminded of that.
But are you clarifying exactly how, Jeff? In other words, are you referring specifically to battery storage?
I'm referring, I just wrote a sentence, I don't have it in front of me, or 2 sentences, saying basically the dangers of not being able to regulate lithium ion battery storage would put potentially the Quabbin at risk.
Okay. That's good.
I don't think people realize it. It is true that polluted water entering the Quabbin, it takes 7 years for it to come around to the output to go to the reservoir halfway to Boston, but it contaminates it. And Shutesbury the Quabbin is one of the largest unfiltered water supplies in the country. Supplies 3 million people in Boston. It's not as large as the one in New York that supplies 9 million people, but still it's unfiltered and a great resource. Boston couldn't really exist without the Quabbin, and the cost to put in a filtration system would be incredible.
Can you guys see this? So this is what, let's see, is this the version that Tom, you sent me? It's not the cleaned up version. I apologize. That's the wrong one.
Right. I just made a cleaned up one now. Do you want me to email it to you or?
If you can share it,
Uh,
this way people can put eyeballs on it, without getting too much into the editing process. But if we're going to go that way, people should at least see it.
like screen share it or?
Yeah,
Can I do that?
you can.
Oh, I didn't know I had that function. Can people see it?
Maybe just make it a smidge bigger, but
There. That
there you
better?
go. That's good. Yeah.
So where would Jeff's sentence go, or two sentences go? Jeff,
Um,
idea?
Michael, I
Right
sent it to
around.
Michael. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. I don't know if you can pull that up, Michael.
I think they belong in this second paragraph where we talk about the forest ecosystem,
Mhm.
from what I've heard you say.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't have it in front of me. I sent it to Michael.
Yeah, let me. But I would agree that would seem like the right place to put it. Let's see. Jeff wrote, as one of the 8 towns that borders the Quabbin Reservoir, we are also very concerned about losing our ability to protect this most valuable resource, as well as our aquifers from the toxic ions released if a lithium-ion battery fire were to occur. So I think, Jeff, if you're okay with it and everyone's okay with it, we could sort of wordsmith something that captures that intent and
Yeah,
make sure it's consistent with the tone.
mhm. Yeah, however you want to say it, I think it should be said because people in Boston are not really fully aware of our role in protecting the Quabbin.
Yeah, I actually think it might resonate because I know Joe Comerford's got a big initiative to sort of highlight the Quabbin and the towns surrounding it, the watershed. So
Well,
it
it
actually
also
might.
it also gives the folks within the 495 Beltway self-interest to pay attention, right?
And then they know where Shutesbury is too, perhaps. Yeah.
So, Michael, if you want to wordsmith that in, that would be great. That would be my preference, and maybe
Okay.
and I trust that you and Tom could do this.
So why don't I attempt to make a motion to say that the board will approve sending a letter to Rep Roy and Rep Michaelwitz using Tom Seifert's version with the addition of a sentence regarding the importance of protecting the Quabbin in terms of energy storage, and maybe empower Tom and I just to craft a final version to send to Carrie.
I would certainly approve of that.
So you're seconding it? Jeff, you're seconding the motion?
I second the motion.
Nathan, where are you at with this? Do you want to call a vote? You want to discuss more? I mean, it's your call.
Yeah. I can. Okay. I'll call the roll. Bonner,
Aye.
Weston,
Aye.
Pickera,
Aye.
Pycroft,
Aye.
Pressler,
Aye.
Raymond.
Aye.
And I will abstain. And the motion carries. Okay. So that seems all wrapped up. Anything else on this before we move on?
No, Tom, you and I should just touch base and then we can communicate with Carrie and get her the final.
One thought, Michael, that word additionally, as importantly, okay?
As important. Yes.
For something that levels up, beyond additionally.
Yeah. Good point. Duly noted.
Okay.
I'll put that one in my back pocket as well.
Oh, I was going to say, Carrie, when you do the minutes for this meeting, you have to quote Nathan. The squeeze, what was it? The squeeze is not worth the juice.
Yeah. I'll make sure that's in there.
Okay. Um, I have a couple of things on the agenda. The community engagement and fiscal year 24 goals. Now, one, I did not get a kind of a specific communication type plan out, which I did say I was going to do. So I'm just going to quickly summarize what we talked about for the benefit of those who are not here. But more or less, I'm interested in just trying to up our community engagement, and in doing so, mostly we're talking about using the town announce one at the beginning of a fiscal year to just more or less welcome or congratulate the anyone who is newly elected or reelected to the board, any associate member appointments, and then to just state any ongoing business we might have, and state any business that we look forward to pursuing this year. I also asked people to think about the goals that they might have for the planning board to take up as agenda items. And I did have some conversations with people about this, which I'm going to summarize now. I spoke with Deacon the other day, and he suggested that we include more. It's kind of like a value of maintaining the forested landscape of Shutesbury. So I think iterating that and any kind of our communication would be a fine thing to do. It's kind of like almost something we could incorporate into a mission statement if we had one. We have like a purpose, statement in our zoning bylaw, but perhaps we can come up with a mission statement at some point and put that on the website. But we'll hammer that out maybe next time if time permitting. I heard from Robert, who indicated that tiny houses would be among his goals for us to continue talking about. And Jeff Weston also agreed that tiny houses slash affordable housing is he considers a good topic. Does anyone else who was at the meeting who I didn't just talk about have anything they want to add to this call it the planning board agenda for the next year, aside from what we might expect for business we have to take care of, Michael?
Yeah, so I don't have any bylaws in mind at this point, so that's a surprise and a gift. The thing, but the thing I say, Keith and I had a conversation a few months ago, and what would be, there's no way we can take on redoing the master plan, although it's very old. But I think what we could take on is adding a climate-related chapter, because there's no reflection of climate change. It just wasn't, it was on some of our personal agendas, but it wasn't on the town agenda when it was written. I think it would actually incorporate what you were just talking about with the forest, but what I had told Keith at the time is we keep getting hit with solar stuff that keeps us busy, and therefore we can't take on a project. So I think it's food for another conversation of, if we were to add just a chapter, how would we do it? Can we do it without having to hire a consultant? Can we just do it on our own and facilitate a conversation in a meeting with town residents? I think it's something we should put on our agenda and talk about. And it would be a way of updating the master plan without redoing the whole thing, which is a huge lift. And I don't know, Keith, if you wanted to add anything to that, but
no, haven't really thought about it much since it came up in that whatever meeting that was. And looking at the old master plan, I think a lot of it is based on survey responses. like there's a whole appendices on uh, meetings where I think there were written surveys, and then there were meetings where townspeople got to discuss the various issues. So I don't know what went into that process. I know it's a whole science and art writing survey questions and uh, grappling with, again, the choices that we have, I guess, in front of us. But I think it's, again, that when I first did that uh, word search on that PDF file, and climate change didn't come up one time, and energy came up once. But again, literally one time the word energy showed up in the whole report, kind of indicates it's woefully outdated, and we really should get a handle on what the town, how the town's priorities might have shifted or uh, evolved now that the science is uh, staring us in the face. The reality is staring us in the face regarding climate change. So, yeah, I don't. I look to you guys. I don't know how to go about that, how to get that ball moving, and but I'm happy to work on it and help.
It's a big discussion.
Yeah, right now we're just kind of right now we're just putting it on the list, Keith. It's just
All
going
right,
on the
well,
list.
that's a start.
It's a start. That's all that we're doing right now. It's just going on a list. Um,
So are we still planning on going into executive session?
yeah, and we're gonna wrap this up real quick here and do that.
Steve, I promise you won't fall asleep with executive session. It'll be
I'm sure
peppy and
you make
interesting.
good on that promise.
Nathan, you would not do good in the broadcast industry. Too much dead air.
Yeah, I know. Um, okay. Did we someone sharing their screen? No. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's good. That's all we have for that. So now I'm ready to hand it over. We'll bat it around a little bit. Instead of maybe doing it in person in July, maybe August, right? I don't think we have any unanticipated business. So with that in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and hand over the reins to Michael for the remainder of the meeting. You're gonna go into executive session for reason number 3, but I'm gonna just let Michael handle the rest of it. And thank everyone for your time tonight. I appreciate it very much, and look forward to seeing everyone in July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
So,
Have a good night, everyone.
see you, Nathan. So I'm going to move to go into executive session for reason number 3 to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the government's litigating position. Litigation specific to complaint received from Coles regarding the Shutesbury solar bylaw, not to return to open session. Anyone want to second that?
Second, Robert.
Okay.
And Keith, I see your hand, and
Yeah.
I would say something we should, actually, thank you for that, Keith. So we now have the ability to allow Tom and Keith into executive session. So I guess I'll just see if people have opinions and we can vote on it. It seems like we should vote on it. Does anyone have an objection at this point? Okay. Seeing no objection, we won't vote, and Carrie can just note that there was no objection to having Keith and Tom join us. So we should just vote on the motion to go into executive session. So Jeff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Deacon,
Aye.
Robert,
Aye.
Ashley,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, we are unanimous. So, and just to officially confirm, everyone's in a place where they're private and no one's hearing, correct?
I
Okay,
am now.
so
Yes.
cool.